Good afternoon, everyone. We have our speakers, Abhishek, Manvi of Studio 9, and Tanushri of Adventist Legal. I want to give it just a few more minutes, guys, so that because others are logging in right now. Let's just give it to 2-3 minutes and then we can start. Sahil?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we please mute this chime when people join or leave?
Sure, ma'am. I think we can do that. Sir, can
It
we?
will just be disturbing to the speakers.
Done.
Sir, can we mute the entry sound?
Yeah, done.
Oh, so thank you.
Thanks, Sahil. I think is Yamini there? Mr. Yamini?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Should we start, Yamini? Instead of
Yeah, I think we can start, and meanwhile, the rest of the participants will join in.
All right. Let me just introduce the speakers one more time. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We have two panelists today, actually, and one is a team of Mr. Abhishek and Manvi. They run a design studio and they are one of our incubatees. The other is Tanushri Segal, and she is an attorney. Am I right, Tanushri?
Yes. Yes.
She has her own startup called Adventist Legal, and we work together a lot. She is also a mentor for the Amity Incubator in Lucknow. And if for some of you who may not know me, I'm the head of the Amity Innovation Incubator and the eCell. Very quickly, we've started the incubator in Lucknow in 2017. So it's over 3 years old. And we are trying to work with all kinds of startups. A good bunch of them are from our own students, but we are open to all. So we get a lot of recommendations from outside parties as well. Now we are empaneled with UPIT for the recognized incubators in the state. We are the first private university incubator private party that was recognized by UPIT. And we are working with a lot of people from the state, from various venues. We're also tied up with various other incubators like IIT Kanpur, IIM here, and so on. There's a lot of other universities. We work closely with, excuse me. We work closely with all these other incubators, and we have a very good network of mentors from different areas who help us with our queries and the queries of our incubatees. Now, at present, we have about 16 incubatees, one of which are Abhishek and Manvi. And we try to do, we of course have the infrastructure, but we also try to help a lot with their networking, with their mentoring, with their financial needs as can be, uh, several other things. So we are here to help all of you. Anyone who has a good idea is welcome to come and speak to me. So right now it has not come. You just call me on the phone or email me, and we discuss your idea and try to develop it as soon as we can. And if you already are working in the market, then we still try to help you with marketing or any other issues that crop up, or even scaling up. It just depends what your needs are. Now, I would like to start with Tanushri. Ms. Tanushri will be discussing some of the legal aspects being faced by incubatees in our present times, COVID related, the challenges that incubatees are facing in setting up their business. And that will go on for, she will speak for about 15-20 minutes and then take questions. And that will be followed by Mr. Abhishek and Ms. Manvi about their design thing and first of all, their entrepreneurial journey, but also what they are doing and why. All right. So let's start. Tanushri, if you will.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Meenaji. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be interacting with all the Amity incubatees. And I visited the center also, and it's really heartening to see the enthusiasm and the kind of josh that they have to start up and to take everything in their stride. So, but then when I visited, it was pre-COVID. When I visited your incubation center, and right after that, COVID struck, and we saw that a lot of startups were facing. Initially, they were facing a lot of issues regarding when things had closed down. So they were facing a lot of employment-related issues at that time. They were facing funding-related issues because once the work is stopped, not every startup was enabled at that time to be able to work from a distance or to be able to cater to all the digitization that was happening. So at that time, all the startups and MSMEs, they had actually made a representation and presented themselves before the government, and they wanted some schemes and some help from the government so that they could probably sustain themselves and look up the way 6 months down the line maybe, because COVID was something that was not going so soon. So this, basically this led to, and a lot of other SOPs that the government had announced in the budget for the startups. This eventually led to government coming up with a new MSME scheme. Okay, so the new MSME scheme had actually broadened, if we gone through that, and which is now applicable from the 1st of July. That has actually broadened the scope of the MSMEs. So now much more MSMEs are allowed, up to 20 crores in the small micro sector and the small sector, and even in the for the higher sector. So a lot more SMEs are able to register themselves as MSMEs. And with the Startup India program, which was already there, launched by the government in 2014 itself, and they were giving a lot of stocks to the SMEs. Those have also continued, and they have also been given some tax benefits. So now all these have been applicable from the year assessment year 2020. However, most issues that the startups faced, which were COVID related, were relating to their agreements. So initially, there were issues relating to their rents, relating to their properties, relating to the force majeure clause in their supply and in their agreements. So all of that, those issues were slowly and steadily, they were able to sort them out. And what we have seen is that digitization is the way forward. Most MSMEs and most startups, how they have been able to slide through this difficult time has been the way that they have tried to digitize themselves, been able to ensure they are working from home. They have taken the technology to their side. And we've seen that all these digital startups, all the education related startups, online, all kinds of education, whether it is school education related, K-12 related startups, or these businesses, they have flourished. The online courses related businesses that have flourished. So this, first of all, when these businesses they come into being, which and they are there to specifically cater to the requirement that for the problems that COVID has created. So the digitization related startups, the ones like Razorpay, or the ones that are into education. The very first thing, legal issues, as if I can elaborate on the legal issues, the very first thing has been the structuring of their startup. The ones that have come up afresh, and also the ones that were already existing, they have actually sought to restructure themselves. So, and also attract funding. So the most important part in any startup is their company structure, whether it is your LLP or they have a company setup, or in case they are a startup, a registered startup. The best suited setup for any company in a startup in this is a private limited company or a limited liability company. Now this helps in attracting a lot of funding and investments, whether it is your angel investments, whether it is your seed investments, and also the incubators. If you are approaching the incubators and if they are helping you out, having a a registered company helps them to be able to get the required funding and investments. The other modes of with the startups that are available are having a limited liability partnership, or even a sole proprietorship, or having themselves registered as an MSME under the new MSME, which is the Udyam registration scheme. We used to have the Udyog Aadhaar scheme earlier. Now the new MSME policy that has come up, from July 2020, there is a Udyam registration startup. So that registration is mandatory for the MSMEs to be able to avail those benefits. The second thing, most important legal challenge that these startups have faced during the COVID times and otherwise also in any difficult times, especially when they are starting up, is their agreements. It is very, very important to have a founder's agreement. All these initial agreements relating to your business very well sorted out. Even if it is for funding, if you're getting a VC funding, then all your shareholding agreements, all your funding agreements, all your property related agreements, they have to be in place and very, very well structured. Right? So we've already seen that how force majeure has actually impacted the supply and the rent related agreements. There have been huge clauses and a huge hue and cry in the initial months of the lockdown, when even the factories were shut down, were relating to the rent, the massive rent that these companies, including startups, had to shell out because of the properties that the offices or their real estate that they had taken up for their establishments. So having a well drafted force majeure clause is currently very, very important for all these startups, including their rent agreements, whether it is their supply agreements, whether it is their property agreements, or even their JVs or their production or the procurement agreements. All of them need to be very, very structured and anticipate a situation which may be COVID-like or any other situation that may arise, that may hamper the business, and take care of all the damages or all the situations that this lockdown or this pandemic can strike. So, consulting a legal consultant or a CA would help you draft relevant clauses so that your startup does not face that kind of a shut down or losses, just because probably certain clauses relating to your losses because of non supply or uh, non availability of labor or raw material might entail. So, as a legal challenge, this is something that the startups in the last 6 months have faced, and those who have been able to revise and renegotiate all their agreements have been able to tide through this particular situation. Okay, and coming to all the digital related startups, a very important legal aspect in managing and first of all starting and then managing a payments related or any digitized solutions related startup is existence of a very well laid out NDA, because these are your personal information that probably you're sharing with your employees or sharing with your partners, your channel partners, your vendors, whoever. So having a very good NDA in place, having some good privacy policies in place. The privacy part is very important, because all these digitized service that you are giving, whether it is payment related, whether it is education, online education, there is a big threat to the privacy and to the security of the information that is shared, and at the same time the client's information, the subscribers information that you take from the subscribers. So this has to be kept very safe, including say even Abhishek and your brand. So you will have your clients, and if you're going for an e-com way of selling your products, it is very important to have a very well laid out TNC or a privacy policy on your website. Ensure there is a safe and secure digital payments setup in your built in within your system. There is a very good placing of orders and demand and supply things that are taken care of within your agreements, within your structure, within whether it is your financial transactions or whatever. So these are some very important challenges that one needs to take care of. Phishing attacks, the frauds, the financial frauds have increased day in and day out. The financial frauds have increased. So people are even hacking Swiggy, and they are able to fool people by placing fake orders and everything. So these things in the current medium where everything is digitized, they need to be very sound and securely protected. The third thing that I would advise all the startups, whether it is your pre-COVID or post-COVID era or during even the current times, is to secure your intellectual property. Very important issue is because whatever your brand is, your brand will have a logo, your brand will have a name, your company name will be a different, right? So once you choose a different name or a striking name or a logo, that becomes your identity to the world, more so in the digitized environment, because most of the sales are happening online, whether it is your groceries, whether it is your anything, your clothes, your medicines, everything. So having a good IP protection strategy for the startup is very crucial. I will underline the word crucial, because these are vulnerable to theft and infringement in an online environment. It's particularly very easy to copy somebody's trademark or copy somebody's material online and start another website. So these things have to be taken care of. Your copyright, your trademark, and in case of say clothing related brands or anything that is more creative, say your interior design related, your furniture related brands, your designs, whatever designs that you are making, the designs that you are creating, they also need to be secure. So all these things have to be thought out right at the time that you are starting up and you are doing the initial groundwork for your startup, whether whether it is a bootstrap startup, whether it is an angel funded startup, or even if you are getting help from the incubators, right? For the other tech startups, because of the again, the technology is something that we can't live without. There will be these tech startups will be generating a lot of patentable material, whether it is your softwares, whether it is your product itself, if you are a product company. So you will be generating a huge number of patents. So it is very, very crucial to have a patent audit done, have a good list of inventions that you are able to capitalize right away, the ones that you probably want to capitalize in the next coming year, and the other ones which require more research and you will be taking up, say, in the long term. You will be developing and working on in the long term. So these things should be clearly laid out, and taking a help of a patent attorney is something very, very essential in sorting out your patents, to be able to find out which patents you need to file immediately, which ones you can wait, and protect your IP. Because it is very, very possible that somebody else may be able to copy your ideas, because you're sharing it probably while developing it, your software, you're sharing it with developers, you're sharing it with marketers, you're sharing it with different host of other people. So it becomes something very crucial that you protect your invention right. Again, as regards IP is concerned, the Startup India program already had a lot of provisions under the Startup India program. They had a 50% relaxation in the patent filing fee for the startups, for the MSMEs. Again, they also have a
Tanushree,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but is it possible for you to use your laptop directly? The sound quality with the headphones is very, very bad.
Okay, so you want me to remove the headphones?
Yes, please.
Okay.
If you can. And just go directly to the laptop. I'm sorry. It's fluctuating too much. It's terrible. Sound.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Is it better? Is it better?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So discussing about patents, there will be a lot of schemes under the Startup India program where even 50% relaxation in the filing fee is there. They even appoint a patent facilitator for the startups so that they are able, who help them through their startup registrations, who help them through the entire patent filing process, and help them, probably expedite the entire process. There are also relaxations and a priority in examination, a faster expedited examination in case of the women entrepreneurs. So all these things are already there, which are already in benefit of startups. So then probably another important, very important thing is your compliance system. So if you're a startup and if you have taken care of your company registration and your establishment and everything, there are certain labor law compliances in case you're employing more than 5 people, how the PF Act will entail, how your gratuity act, whether all these, your factories act. So all these things need to be taken care of. Though for startups initially there is a 3-year relaxation from these labor compliances initially for these all these production related startups. So from the Factories Act, even to the payment of gratuity act, even your PF Act and ESI Act. So there are relaxations, and there's a tax holiday also for a period of 3 years. And there is a self-certifying possibility that is there, self-certifying facility that is provided by the government for all these labor compliances that the startups can use. Again, under the budgetary announcements this year, the 3-year tax holiday has been increased to 5 years now. So, which means that these startups, provided that they fulfill the other criteria of the annual turnover, which is 25 crores, and that they fall under the satisfy the innovation criteria, then their tax holidays can be increased. So all these things are always helpful, and it is good to consult a CA or a legal advisor before you go about planning and setting up your, or doing your documentation during this time. Again, once you are probably setting up a factory or something, then there are certain environmental law clearances that the startups need to get, depending upon the area. Say, for example, the water pollution or the air pollution related your requirements. At the same time, you also probably need the licenses that may be required, depending, say, if you are a fast food category of F&B, then you require a food license, a municipality license, right? So all these different licenses, if you are into pharma products, then you will need to have a license to produce these drugs from the DCGA. So all these licenses specific to a business can be should be procured before you start your business, because they later on they lead to a lot of penalties, and it is good to avoid these penalties and these things that may come up later. So having a good sorted documentation also helps in your funding. When you are seeking funding, so the venture capitalists or the people, when you are going for fundraising, it is important and it is seen how well you are complying with all these compliances that are there, domestic compliances, and in case it is a foreign funded startup, then or the other FCRA and the FEMA compliances need to be taken care of. So broadly, these are the legal things that that you need to cover when you are going in for your setting up of a startup. Again, say coming particularly to the digital startups, their agreements are something very, very crucial. Say you need to have very well laid out clauses relating to your copyright, if it is a content development startup, then you need to have all these very well laid out clauses with your vendors, with your subscribers, with your clients, with your intermediaries. So all these things need to be sorted out in your agreements. You need to take care of the payments. The payments need to be secured. Very, very important during the COVID time is that there is a cash crunch with most startups. There is a cash crunch even with the clients. So how do you secure payments? Whether you have a deferred payments cycle, or you are working on an advance payment. So all these things need to be very well structured in the agreement to be able to take care of the liabilities that may arise later. So these are the basically the kind of compliances that one needs to set up and to operate the business. So I think Miraji, I can if there are any questions or if there is any specific area that you would want me to uh, you know, throw a light on, then I would be glad to do that.
I was just waiting to see if the students had certain questions. If not, then I will speak in a second. But thank you so far. I think, Tanushri, if you could elaborate a little bit on what your firm can do in case any of the incubatees or others, any of the startups would like to approach you.
All of them, all of the things that I have mentioned. We guide people how to structure their business, what is the best way to operate, say whether a partnership is going to be more helpful, or whether an LLC is going to be more helpful, how to secure registrations under Startup India scheme, uh, drafting all kinds of agreements, all from A to Z. We draft all kinds of your agreements. We'll do your IP registrations and follow-ups, and even your licensing out, because what happens with the software and the tech startups is that once they are ready with their product, they need to have a software licensing agreement in place, right? Or even their content licensing. So whether you're going in, say, probably for a franchise related operation, or you want to license things out, then all these kinds of license agreements, your copyright related agreements, for all these educations. A lot of startups that of my clients, they are going, they are now going digital. So earlier, say for example, if they were into counseling, or if they were into providing some vocational guidance and courses, they're moving to an app-based scenario. So all the steps, the legal advice and the guidance that is required from going from paper to digital, we take care of all of that. We'll be able to connect you with we have separate vendors who we outsource the licensing part, because that is more of government licensing also. So we do have people who can do that, all of that also.
And the normal time frame needed for registration at present, in the present circumstances,
What specific registrations as in?
for a new company?
See, company registration may take now it takes only a week. The registration under the Startup India, depending upon the availability of documents, it is all online. So again, it is a matter of 4-5 days. That these registrations and everything is done. The IP registrations are a little time taking, because the patents, of course, the patent exam process is a little stretched out. So you have a filing stage, you have an examination stage, and then you have an objection stage and everything. So IP registrations, they do take time, but they probably the compliances under the Factories Act or the labor compliances and all of them, they are a matter of a day or two, provided you have all the documents ready, all these requirements. And certain licenses, say for example, the municipal license may take as much time as the government office would be, able to do that. So some of the licenses may take time, but usually now things, we are moving towards ease of doing business. So a lot of these things are now hastened as compared to how we were functioning probably 3 or 4 years earlier.
All right. Thank you very much, Tanushree. And Abhishek and Manvi, did you have any questions for Tanushree, or you want to proceed? Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think so. Yes, it's very beautifully explained by her, all the norms and conditions, and it's really important to take advice from an expert always, because she has this kind of feel, and I think so she'll be doing good in whatever she's doing. I had 2-3 questions, Tanushri. One was that if I have to patent my designs, which are prints, supposingly, and I have like more than 15 to 20 prints generated. So should I do the patent for all these prints differently, or can I combine it? And if I have to pay the charges for every print particularly, one is that. And the second question is, if I have certainly a garment and I have a different element added. I know that if you have different element added, so you can take that as a patent and consider that particular element. What if I have 2 or 3 more elements added to that particular design, including the weave structure and including the stitching structure different and the print structure different? So should I be doing all these things differently, or should I combine it? And how do I do it then?
Manvi, first of all, it depends, from a case-to-case basis. Answering your first question, if you have certain prints that are original, the very first thing that is required in any design or anything creative is that it should be original. If it is, it may be inspired, but then the content should be original. So if you have, if you have those prints, if they form a part of a complete, a design, if these prints form part of an entire design, then you just need to file for the entire design. But if you want to retain the uniqueness and the novelty of each different these prints that you are mentioning, and in case of fabrics, that happens. Say for chikankari, even every weave or every booty may be a different, if it is really original, if there is novelty in the design. So then these things will classify as a separate and registrable design. So I will advise you to go for them separately.
For a separate.
Yes. And as regards your fabric and your weave is concerned, see, the fabric per se is not something that you can, get a patent or a design registration on. But if you are weaving something very different from the fabric. Yeah. So using different threads or using some different materials, then the final product that comes out, and if it is novel, if it has specific certain ornamental features, sufficiently ornamental, so that that particular design does not remain functional. कि उसका usually in case of fabrics, they are all ornamental designs. There is no functionality attached to a particular design. Say for example, if it is only a belt, say especially in fashion designing, if it is a belt, right? So till the time there is only a design element, you can file it under designer. But if it becomes functional, that it helps you to maintain that particular dress in a particular position or a particular zip, right? So then it becomes functional. So those minute things that need to be taken care of when you are filing for the design. But if you are able to create something different and which is novel and ornamental, it is definitely registrable. And you can always consult me. Let me know if you need any advice on that.
Sure. And then one more question. Our artisans are making some designs in terms of, let's say, chicken curry only. And they are the real owner of the designs. Are there any norms where they can register and they get any
Yes.
what do you call it, the lease or less pricing according to that? Or if they have any other measures to do that for the
I
artist?
didn't quite understand the pricing part. What did you say? I probably didn't follow.
So basically, when their designs are used by some big designers, so usually the person who's using it pays the owner of the design. So in that regard, if somebody uses their design, will the artisan get benefit of that?
Yes, yes. So what is usually done is that if you are owner of a design and somebody wants to use your design, they pay you a fee, right? So you gives the rights to the third person who may be a big designer or who may be say probably a company who wants to get into that commercially exploit that design. Then they need to pay you a fee, and it can always be managed through some specific agreements and specific clauses when all these things are. So, but yes, artisans themselves can also file for their
But
designs.
since these artisans already have a lot of blocks, with which is kept with them from generations, and nobody really knows who's the owner of those blocks or those designs. And in the market also, you will see that the same designs are being used by various designers. You know, so what are the measures regarding that? How do you say that it is good to take those designs for your collections, and if somebody will not come tomorrow and claim those designs
If
are
they
theirs
are
and you have
blocks, Manvi, so these blocks are, first of all, there is, as you also said, that they are being used from centuries. Certain patterns, they have been used for centuries, and they're very, very common. Especially, say, the kurti, blocks or the ones that are there on these fabrics. In saris, also these prints and these. So they come in public domain. So if you are including them in your collection, depends, unless and until somebody already has filed rights for it. Otherwise, if something is in public domain, I don't think that there should be any problem. However, in case any specific case, as I said, that everything depends from a case to case basis. So there might be a lot of things and lot of interplay of rights and situations that we need to see in every particular case. So I think you may individually consult with me for that specific issue.
thank you so much.
I
I'm
think
glad.
let's unless Manvi you have more questions, let's move on to your journey and the two of you and how you've developed your startup, and also just whatever insight you want to give and share with the others.
Sure.
So let me just share the screen.
Can we see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Just a second. Yeah. So, as you have already mentioned, our company's name is Number 9 Studio Private Limited, and the brand's name is Astitva. So, it has three major pillars. One is identity, second one is individuality, and the third one is impact. Identity, individuality, and impact are the core pillars for the Astitva. But the tagline which we always use, which always resemble our brand, is finding identity in terms of craft, clothes, and conscience. So these are the main target elements where we try to cater to the market. And as you can see that Astitva wants you to express yourself, wants you to love yourself, and wants you to be yourself. Also because as we can see with the recent example also, that Tanushri is sitting in an environment where she has a background, certain kind of colors on her background, and as we saw in Meera Singh's ma'am picture also, that she had certain background of her own. So we say that every individual is very unique and their choices are very unique, and the way they dress is also, you know, unique, and it has to be catered like that. So this is about Astitva. So Astitva is all about art of expression. How, Tanushri, you can express yourself via colors, via designs, via elements of wearing your clothes. And anybody doesn't depend on the income of the person particularly, but any way you want to express yourself. And it's also about the freedom of identity that you have, that you can create for your own self, regardless of the gender we have. And it is very deep rooted individuality that we try to cater to, and we try to create a significant impact with all these things. So we are always inspired by the excerpts of the Indian culture, be it craft, be it the design elements that we use in our products and stories. And we always believe that it is luxury, that we say wearing clothes is a luxury, and it is luxury in terms where you don't have to force yourself to fit in a particular garment, where it is according to you. So there's a basic norm that clothes has to be according to the person, and the person should not fit in the clothes. Rather, clothes should be, you know, according to your type and your taste. And we always provide relaxed silhouette, rich in textile, with good quality and comfort. And all we want to really create is the narration of the story. What kind of narrative you want to tell your children with your clothing or anything like that. So that is all about Astitva story. So that is all about Astitva's story. The journey will be presented by Abhishek.
Yeah. So basically, our journey started with identifying the problem. We knew that there's a problem that exists in the market. So we started to do a landscape mapping wherein we identified the core problems that the customer is facing currently. And we identified the different stakeholders in the ecosystem and what are the problems the value chain is having, and the customer is, as a result, the customer is also not able to buy what they want. So the idea started from a problem mapping. Then we did a market research, which consisted of both primary and secondary research. We did a lot of secondary research on the materials already available. Man, we went and then did first-hand experience. We did a lot of brainstorming around it. Then we found out the real problem, and then we decided, like, okay, this is what we want to work, and this is the problem that we want to solve. After this identification, we mapped the resources that will be required to solve that problem. And it is very important to gauge those elements that you need to have. So after market research, resource mapping was one of the key element, and then we identified our strength, the core strength that we have, and what we need to build on to reach the end goal. In terms of our approach, we are, as an organization, we follow a design thinking approach, wherein we follow some steps to solve a problem. So first step of our approach is to empathize with the problem of the customer. So it is very essential to be in the shoes of the customer to relate to the problems. When Once you identify the issue in hand, you try to define the problem in detail. And this happens through market research. You talk to people, you interact with them, you put out everything together, and then you create an idea which will help these customers with a pain point to solve it. Once that is done, you create a small prototype to check whether your idea is feasible in the market. What are the challenges that you will like face when you uh, scale up? Especially as we are a bootstrap company, investing in the right resources was the key thing. So we wanted to start from a very small prototype and then take the feedback from our customer, then rework and create a full-fledged solution for our customer. So this is how we have been approaching the problem that we are trying to solve. In the entire journey, we have uh, achieved few milestones, being market research, team development, product development. So these were the few milestones. Yeah.
So, talking about the product development more, we try to take inspiration from little elements that are always there in our life, and which are always there present everywhere you can see it, but you tend to ignore it. So we here try to take inspiration from a very small element of our life, that is a fruit called pomegranate. And why pomegranate is because as we read the Hindi Varnamala, so it says the very first word that it says is se anar. So that is why we took inspiration from that small element. And in the second picture, you can see that we have sketched it out and we try to create it with our drawings and elements. And in the third picture, you can see how we created the entire print from a small design or the sketch so this is the process that we followed. Here you can see that we took inspiration right in the right below. Here you can see that we took inspiration from this Rumi Darwaza and the architecture of Lucknow, and we tried to incorporate this in our chunni and calling it Rumi veil only. And then the entire thing has been translated into the product, so that we also nurture, as we said, that we talk about the Indian heritage and Indian culture. So we also nurture the artifacts that we have and the architecture that we have around. Of course, if we are staying in Lucknow, how can we ignore chicken curry and not incorporate chicken curry? It is the key element and the core element, and it will always be one for the coming future. And this is how we incorporated Zardozi and dabka work and bead work with chicken curry, and try to create a very relaxed silhouette which can be worn by the youngsters also in terms of crafts. So it should not be just for the women above 40s, but it should be for the rich craft should be for women who are in her 20s or in 30s. The next picture is the how we translated our photography, and the sari, the same anar that is created in a very different color and in a very different move to give it a very classy look, very niche look. So that is it. Here I want to talk to you about the basic strength which is in our company, that is our people, and how we teach them design training also. We try to make them understand how they can create their own designs, create their own blogs, and then how they can be, especially women, so how they can be more independent in their approach, how they can use Neil and everything and to create their own block print and then weave it, and then they can recreate and do the dyeing in their own houses, so that they can be more independent. Because these women, they don't they tend to not move out of their houses, and now we are actually helping them to do so that they can build their own thing and their own community in their own centers, and work independently. So this is how we create an impact.
Yeah. So talking about the challenges, this entire entrepreneurial journey has been a roller coaster ride for us, and there were few challenges that we faced. One was building a team. The negative thing, or I should not use the word negative. The drawback of working in Lucknow has been to find right talent who like shares the vision of your dream, and also work in conjunction with the core team. So this has been a talent for us to tap in. We have been scouting to look for uh, people to work in the design department, but there has been a mismatch which we have come across. But having said that, in the entire journey, we have tried to build a good team. Although the journey was long, but we have found good talent, especially when we work with the artisan community. These are huge that we are still learning from them also. And we also are trying to build our core team. But this entire process was time consuming and has been a challenging. Identification was the next big challenge. Finding right set of partner for your enterprise will always be a task for you, because everybody will look for their own set of interest. But luckily, we have managed to find good partners during the course of journey, partners who have a shared vision like us. But yes, it is a challenge to find partners with the right set of approach. And the last, I think everybody is suffering the COVID effect, and we are no different. Uh, this entire event came as a surprise for us, and it has been really difficult as a business, as a team, to deal with the challenge. But we have managed to survive, and I think we will continue to do it. Uh, these are the three challenges that we have faced. Learning so far, I think, just continuing with my last point, COVID, although was a setback, but it has helped us to adapt to the new situation and be flexible. So there was a time that we shift from everything to prepare mask for the government. So that was the thing that we adopted based on the situation. And going forward, we are just thinking around how things can be changed according to current situation. So one of the key learning that we have learned from our journey is to be flexible and adaptable. Second, it is an evolving process. When we look back, sometime we see that how the things have changed, how the idea itself has evolved over the time. So it will continue to happen, and we have to just every day think about it. It should be evolving. Networking is, yes, I think networking will be the key element uh, on the list. So because you will be working with different partners, you will be working with different stakeholders. So it is very important to build network, because that will be a chain that you will be creating to reach your end goal. And I think last is mentoring. uh, See, you know the ground, but it is always important to have a mentor to support you, to listen to you, to ideate with you. And in this regard, I think MIT is helping us a lot in terms of mentoring and then finalizing and shaping the ideas. So these are the few learning from the journey so far. Yeah. Thank you. Hello. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you, Manvi. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box. I am still very curious now the place where you have set up your operations in Lucknow.
So, ma'am, we have a team set up in Old Lucknow, which is the uh, hub for chicken curry and artisans. So we have a center there from where we have a small team of artisans that is working.
All right. And right now, besides the masks, are you working on other stuff?
So, ma'am, mask was one of the element that came out, that okay, we have to provide some work to our artisan during the lockdown, and there was a demand. So we switched to that mask thing. But having said that, we are also entering into home furnishing.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a kind of market assessment that we have seen that there's a demand for home furnishing also. So we are now slowly progressing to it. And I'll also request everybody in the group to see our Instagram page, because there are a lot of cool products being displayed. So I think, yeah.
I'm wondering now if you will share your contact information for the startups or students or anybody else who would like to approach you for further information.
Yeah, sure. So I'll share my email address and our Instagram page. So everybody, like anyone, any student or any panelist or anyone who wants to connect with us, we are happy to listen to it, and we are happy to collaborate.
All right. Uh, Tanushri, did you have any questions for Abhishek or Manvi? You have to unmute. Unmute. You are still muted, Tanushri. Your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying I do not have any questions, but I definitely loved their presentation, and I especially like the way they made their entire concept. They've ideated the entire thing, and how they worked with different fabrics and everything. So I really like the work that they are doing.
Yeah, I think it's extremely creative the way y'all have taken natural things like fruits or whatever and used it for design element. Um, there is a big discussion about paisleys. Scotland insists that the paisley was created in Scotland. And I remember because when I read it there, I was like, no, 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 this exists in India and has existed in India forever. So it's like different artists have come up with the same idea in two different parts of the world, is the way it worked. So paisley is indigenous here. We have had that paisley design forever. And Scotland also has created it. And I was like, oh, they must have just copied it from India at some point, you know. But it wasn't. They had actually created it in Scotland.
We
And
actually
so,
design process where we can see that paisleys have been taken by inspiration by Amka Muta also. We
yes,
find those in the old textbooks. If we read, we find those connections where we can see that it has always taken inspiration from the nature itself. And
yes.
maybe because we have been sending our products to the Britain and to different places, so it might have circulated from India. There are very high chances, but we can see it.
Yeah. So, well, and this is just an example which I saw, but I'm saying sometimes the same brilliant idea hits people in different parts of the world. So it is original to them. They've not copied from anybody else, but it just happens to be it's human nature, and you thought of something and somebody else has thought of exactly the same thing. But it's still extremely interesting when you look at designs and the way you do it. And I'm highly impressed, Tanushree. You should check out their details because they're very, very good stuff.
I will. I'm really interested, and I will surely do that.
Manvi has shared some of the tailoring and things that the details that they do. And I've looked at it. She's brought me samples to see in my office. They've been working with us for a while. And COVID, of course, slowed things down a little. But I am really hoping that you will, expand exponentially very soon. Tanushri, good luck to you as well. Um, I would just like to kind of wrap this up. Uh, uh, Dr. Shailaja Dikshit, and she was a little occupied today, but I wanted to introduce her. She is the point of contact for the ESL students. So she works with me on, keeping together the ESL students. We have a very active group of ESL students at Amity Lucknow. We also collaborate with ESL students across the campuses. And today, I could not read, but there is a bunch of them from Mumbai who have logged in because they were very interested in our webinar today. Now, for those of you, Manvi and Abhishek, I think don't know this, Tanushri might. We work closely with Noida with regard to all our programs. The incubators, there are 6 of them who are all under Dr. Asim Chauhan. He is the chancellor for all these 6 campuses, and they work very closely together. So our team today has Mr. Vijay Veer Singh, Mr. Sahil Bhutani, and Mr. Yamini Bhushan, all these people from Noida participating. And Mr. Ojasvi Babar is the head of the Noida incubator. So all of them are here. Now I would like to ask Mr. Sahil Bhutani to do a quick thank you note before we end this session.
Good afternoon to the panelists. I would like to thank Ms. Manvi Trivedi and Mr. Abhishek Trivedi and Ms. Tanushree Sangal on behalf of Amity Innovation Incubator family, our president, Dr. Asim K. Chauhan, our CEO, Mr. Ojasvi Babbar. We would like to thank you for sparing time for this wonderful session. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure as well. It's great talking to all of you.
Yeah, can I end the session?
Yes, please do.
Thank you.